What's more important to look at, calories and macros or food quality? Which one's more important? The truth is, they're both important. Of course, if you eat too many calories, you'll gain body fat. Of course, if you miss your macros, you're probably not going to get to your goals. However, the types of foods you eat influence your behaviors. Besides that, they also influence your health. In other words, two equal calorie diets with equal macros, one with better food quality, tends to produce better health markers. So they're both important. Stop arguing over these two things. Look at both of them.
Was there a point in coaching a client where you felt like this conversation came up? Like, so, is there like levels or layers to this? Like, first I want to get my client to understand X, Y, and Z, and then we'll make our way to this. Or right out the gates, are you communicating, hey, we should be all organic, we should do grass-fed? Like, where does that conversation come in?
Actually, so I remember distinctly how this started. Like, I came from like you guys, like the fitness space, and I think you could probably skewed more towards like muscle building, fat loss, so like body composition, fitness space. Yep. And then I worked with some really, really smart wellness professionals in my studio, and they communicated things differently, and there would be a conflict sometimes in terms of ideas. But I soon realized that they were both kind of important. Now, my argument was always like, get the basics down first, right? So don't worry about things like organic, non-GMO, whatever, if you're just eating garbage, or if you're not getting enough protein, or if your calories are too high or not adequate. But the argument that they would make was, well, a lot of those things sometimes influence your behaviors. So in some cases, their arguments made a lot of sense. For example, if you hit your calories and your macros, but it was all from heavily processed foods, yeah, technically you would lose weight and technically you would reach your goals, but how would you feel? How would that influence your behaviors? And then how sustainable would that be? On the flip side, if I'm just focused on organic, but I'm not looking at calories and essential macronutrients and nutrients, well, I could buy organic potato chips, right? I could buy organic cookies,
gummy bears.
Gummy bears.
We're really good at marketing.
So that. I think the big problem is like, this is how it is, and don't lend any credence to the other side. They're both important. Context matters. I mean, food quality matters, just like quantity, just like calories and macros. But it really depends on the individual and what exactly we're talking about. But it does matter.
I guess I think I always communicated it in order of operation based off of our financial situation.
Yeah. That's context, right?
So so like if I had a client who was affluent and the difference of a price of something being organic or not, it was irrelevant to their lifestyle and it wasn't going to impact them. I'm absolutely saying, hey, I would prefer we go this direction for these reasons.
I did the same thing in the very beginning, but that's actually been democratized quite substantially in terms of like, the cost for something that's organic or even the delivery to that. So, but yeah, to your point, that's how I'd always kind of assess it at first. It's like, let's figure out their situation, what makes sense with their actual daily routine. Like, is this going to match and mirror that, but we can tweak it so it's a little more effective?
Yeah, that's really, at least I feel like that's changed just recently with companies like ButcherBox who have now, made grass-fed beef way more reasonable, right? Competitive with regular beef at the grocery store.
Yeah, they eliminated a lot of middlemen.
Yeah,
and so deliver it right to your door.
So brands like that are now, and I think more and more of them are popping up where they're able to source higher quality meat like that and put you on like a monthly subscription.
I will say this though, to the whole cost argument. I used to take that like right away. People are like, oh, it's too expensive. Okay, you're right. And then I started looking deeper and asking more questions. And well, number one, personal training clients tend to be more affluent anyway. So if you're going to hire a trainer, even at the low end of $50 an hour, you're probably not living paycheck to paycheck. But even when I had students that would hire me and they'd say, well, it's too expensive. We'd look at their diet. I was like, well, you eat out. Like, there's better ways to save money to get, and you can also buy in bulk and that'll save a lot of money. And then when I would help them out, they'd be like, oh my God, I'm eating healthy. And it's actually saving me money versus the way I ate before. I think what happens is people compare eating out to eating out. Like if you eat out at a restaurant that doesn't try to serve you grass-fed meat, doesn't try to serve you organic food, non-GMO, it's going to be way cheaper than the restaurant that advertises itself as such. Like you go find an organic, grass-fed, wild-caught fish,
farm to table type.
That's going to be expensive. But when you do it yourself, it doesn't make that big of a difference. I mean, apples to apples, you might see a little bit of a difference, but typically people, they save money if they eat at home anyway. And then when you buy in bulk, that makes a big difference. And then you're right, like a company like ButcherBox, you pay a monthly fee for a box of food, and you do the cost analysis. It's incredible.
I just found it is like, and we teach this in our course and stuff like this with coaches and trainers, that like, if they're using that as an excuse right now, it's like, I don't even try and like play that game. Like that's like the time game, right? So if a client says like, oh, I don't have the time, I'm so busy, I can't commit. I'm like, well, there's 24 hours in a day and this and that. Like I'm not going to break down.
You're right, but you ain't going to be effective.
Yeah, exactly. So like I would choose not to like, oh, okay, I understand. We could save money by doing this, that. And then over time, I would explain to them the benefits of that, or something would reveal itself, like they're inflamed all the time, or this and that, and it's like, well, maybe it's because of all these highly processed foods, and how about just for a couple weeks, I get you to change over to this, and then allow that to reveal itself, and then go like, oh my God, I feel so much better now. And you're like, and then all of a sudden, oh, now they see the value in it, and now they're like, oh, okay, well maybe I can do that. So
I also get really annoyed though with the other side that trivializes all of the all of the things under the food quality category. And I know it can get ridiculous, so I'm not saying there aren't silly things in that category, but they'll do things like they'll compare like grass-fed beef to conventional beef. Like, yes, there's a difference, but the difference is small and doesn't make that big of a difference. So who cares? It's like, well, one time, but if you eat meat a lot, like I eat meat every day, I eat red meat every single day.
It's a major part of your diet.
Do the math for me. Look at over the course of 30 days of my fatty acid content from red meat, grass-fed versus non-grass-fed. And over that month, over 6 months, a year, and so on, it's a significant difference. So you can't just do that one thing. The other one is the whole like, oh, you try to go organic, you try to avoid foods with glyphosate residues or whatever. It's not that big of a difference. Look, they did a study on glyphosates. They did a study on that ingredient. It's not that big of a deal. The problem is we've never done a study on all these things all at once. Yeah. So you're not just eating whatever they're showing in the study with the glyphosate. You also have xenoestrogens coming from this angle, preservatives over here, weird chemicals put in food to make them hyper palatable that aren't necessarily found in nature. Individually, maybe not an issue. Combined over time, maybe it's an issue. In fact, it's funny. I was going to talk about this on today's episode. I think this connects very nicely. I just learned a statistic that was alarming. And I think this has to do a lot with our environment, the things that we put in our mouth and breathe and the things that we put on our skin. This is crazy to me. So check this out. 54% of U.S. children, more than half, are suffering from a chronic illness.
Oh my God.
A chronic illness.
54%?
54. Either food allergies, asthma, autism.
That's crazy.
Yes.
Wow.
54% of children have a chronic illness that requires.
That's alarming.
Where's that coming from? Juvenile diabetes, between 2001 and 2009, right? So 2001, we're already in bad shape, right? From 1 to 9, up 23%. 1 in 6 children have a developmental disability. ADHD went up 43% in the past 8 years. Yeah. Almost 50% increase in the last 8 years for asthma. Food allergies, this is like food allergies, 1 in 13 children, which, by the way, that number was like tiny. Autism was so rare at one point that it was like you just didn't see it. Now it's like exploding. What is it all connected to? I have to believe that it might have to do with this
multitude of factors.
Yeah, we're just doing a lot of wrong things. This symphony of chemicals and environmental, whatever you want to call them, toxins, or basically new things that you and I weren't, exposed to when we were kids. Definitely not our parents. Now it's like all these things all the time. Do you think it plays a role? Yeah. I don't know. Something's doing something, because these numbers are alarming. When children, 54% of them, have chronic illness.
So it matters. I mean, it's overwhelming when you start kind of really peering into stuff like that. And I get that sense, especially if I have a new client coming in. I don't want to just like,
listen,
dude, your environment, you're like toxic.
I get that too, the overwhelm, right? I totally get that, because as a trainer, one of the biggest mistakes you can make when you're with a client is you throw everything but the kitchen sink at them, and then they do nothing. So I totally get that.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say separately, right?
Yeah.
Here's the argument. I'm going to use the argument for something else. It's imagine if someone was debating fitness to you and they said this to you: one workout's not going to do anything for you. You're like, well, yeah, no shit. That's why you have to do a lot of them over a long period of time.
Right.
It's the same exact argument when someone says to you, oh, big deal, change your deodorant. What's that going to do? Yeah. Oh, you're not going to spray your hairspray with those, xenoestrogen. What's that going to do for you? Oh, big deal, you're avoiding, you're going to go with organic cereal. What's that? Well, yeah, one thing, but it's all these things all the time that are probably doing something.
Given that, and I totally agree, and I think it's a massive factor, especially consider like long term, all the volume and everything. But like in terms of like how you're going to start communicating that with your client initially, like I would definitely bring it up in conversation with less intensity versus the fact that reducing calories is going to move the needle the most,
right, and make you the healthiest,
or at least knowing your maintenance calories is the knowledge is what you have to build off of. Establishing the knowledge, we build off of that, we tweak, we alter, and we like get to the point of all these other like quality food items we need to incorporate down the road.
I think the key is to bring awareness without being an alarmist.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, it's important that they understand that and we communicate that. And I think it's part of our job to continue to inform and educate people. At the same time too, we're not going to be an alarmist about it, like freak out. It's like, listen, if you haven't been able to show up to the gym for 30 days in a row, or you haven't been able to follow your meal plan,
start there.
Yeah. Like there is no reason for you to freak out about your shampoo yet or your deodorant yet, because even though those things are probably not ideal for you and they are all compounding, what was going to move the needle in as far as your quality of life, longevity, your overall health, is you being able to get your calories in check, move your body more, build some muscle. So let's start there, but then also be aware,
keep chipping away though.
Yeah, be aware that there's many layers and levels to this that we hope to get to.
And just to back you up, Adam, your body's ability to deal with, and I'm going to use this term, and I know it's so loosely, right? And this pisses some people off, but let's just say toxins. Okay, I know they're not toxic, but let's just say all these environmental, let's say chemicals, things in our whatever that may in combination affect our bodies or on their own start to affect our bodies, like xenoestrogens, right? When you look at all those, your body's ability to detox from those, because your body does have this incredible ability to take in a chemical and then get rid of it. Your body's ability to detox dramatically increases when you're not overeating and you're active. So that's another reason why, like, exercising properly and not overeating are the two biggest rocks. Because when you all of a sudden, here's what you find. You take somebody eating a garbage diet that's too many calories, you cut their calories with the same garbage diet, not perfect, but you see lots of improvements in their health markers. In fact, there's people that have done this. They're like, I'm just going to eat. Remember that we talked about that documentary, Super Size Me, recently. There was a guy that tried to counter it who ate an only fast food diet and showed that he lost weight and all that other stuff, which I hate because it's not real reality. It's not real life. Obviously, you're not going to feel good, all that stuff. But what he proved was, if you don't eat too many calories, you still can see some improvements. And your body's ability to detox gets better when you move appropriately and when you don't overeat. So do those things first. And the whole alarmist thing, I get that, because you know, it's like you guys ever get overwhelmed with choices trying to watch something on TV and you end up just not watching it?
Yeah.
That's what happens when, like, we throw all this stuff and then we put a lot of fear behind it. The person shuts down.
I've also,
they're like, I'm not doing anything.
Have you ever found who have you heard that communicates this the best? I think this is really interesting. It's along the lines of what we're kind of talking about too, but more on the behavioral side, because Katrina and I, over this last couple of weeks, right, we obviously went through it. There was very little sleep, very little food and nutrition, very little movement that happened for us. And together we both, got back home and then began to eat again. Obviously a very minimalist type of foods that she could even eat. And I was eating with her. And one of the things we were talking about was we bought these peaches and nectarines, and together we're sitting there and we're just like, oh my God, this is, we're just like every flavor. Every bite is just like, holy shit. Like, and she's like, these are the best peaches we've ever bought. I'm like, I don't think it's that, I think we've had nothing for so long. What I was telling her that I thought it was so interesting, I said, it highlights how we have these interesting signalers in our body. And it like speaks to me on like how we were probably supposed to have these periods of time where we really, and obviously we went through an extreme, right? I'm not advocating for not eating like she did and putting her body through the stress that she went through just to get a peach to taste good. But the point is that it's interesting to me how it resensitizes all these systems that tell you this is good, this tastes real, and it's like, and it's how crazy is it that you completely just become numb to that after you've like oversaturated those systems. Like it's like if you eat a lot of highly processed foods and you're constantly in a calorie maintenance or surplus and you never run in a deficit for an extended period of time, it's almost like you never allow those things to get primed again to even enjoy those things.
It's not almost, that's exactly what happens.
And it's so wild that if you just learn to do that, how much easier it is to adhere to a better diet too, because it's like it wasn't like we felt deprived. We were eating a peach and we weren't eating some fried French fries or something. It was like, oh my God, this was so rewarding and so fulfilling. It's how crazy how much we screw that up for ourselves by the way we choose to eat.
We don't give ourselves the opportunity to find joy in the everyday healthy natural things because we're totally. So it's funny because that's spiritual exercise, what you're talking about. Now we can identify physiologically what's happening. Receptors downregulate, catecholamine production changes, your perception of the flavor changes because, at first you eat something heavily processed and sweet and it's overwhelming. Then your body adapts to it. Now it's normal. Fruit now tastes bland. We've talked about that before. But, the spiritual, leaders have talked about fasting from food, fasting from stimulus, fasting from lots of different things because it helps them appreciate, those types of things. It's like when you go, like how amazing do you feel when you go out into the woods and you're off electronics and then you come back like, oh my God, I'm totally out. Today's program giveaway is Maps Strong. To enter to win, leave a comment below this video and subscribe to this channel. Also, turn on notifications. Do all those things, and if you win, we'll let you know in the comment section. Also, this month's sale, Maps 15, half off. The Bikini bundle of programs, half off. And the Shredded Summer bundle of workout programs, also half off. All of those 50% off. If you're interested, click on the link at the top of the description below. All right, back to the show.
I want to point out something that the audience has heard me go through for almost 5 years now, right? Max turns 5 in July. How awesome and rewarding it is as a dad, as a parent, at this point or this stage that we are in raising him, that we trained his palate so well that I don't have to manage that anymore.
Candy's probably overwhelming. I bet he does so much.
I no longer do this anymore. So if a family member has a Snickers bar or something and they want to, I don't tell them no anymore. It's like because I've already seen this firsthand. It's so awesome. He will reject it completely, or he'll take one bite and he's just hands it back. And he loves things like a granola bar that has a chocolate chip in it or something that is he loves that. He just enough of this sensation of sweet, bananas with a dab of peanut butter on it. Oh my God, this kid will go nuts for that.
But candy's just too much.
Oh, but a candy is just you see it on his face, and it's so cool to have seen that we created that.
All human desires work that way. You reminded me of an article I brought up. So when you were gone, I brought up an article Justin and I talked about, and it was fascinating. You just reminded me of it. So there's a tribe in the Amazon that had no technology. So they live in huts and like people did a long time ago.
Hunter-gatherer.
Yeah, I mean, basically,
society,
right? Yeah, and I mean, they had contact with the modern world, but they didn't have internet. They didn't have any of that stuff, right? So Starlink gave them access to internet. So Elon Musk, Starlink.
Is this recent too?
Yes, dude.
Oh.
So they had internet, and the whole thing was now you can get emergency
6 months time or something.
I think so. Something it was that. It wasn't years, so it was months. Okay. And it was the way they sold it was you can have access to emergency services if you need whatever, if you got to sell something, buy something. So they're yeah, we welcome this, right? I don't know how many months later, I think it was 6 months later, the elders get this out of here.
Yeah.
Our young people are addicted to pornography and social media. They're lazy.
Sex practices are changing.
Yes, they're aggressive sexually. Yeah. We don't like the way they're acting.
No way.
Yes, dude.
No way.
Yes.
They lost their drive. They didn't want to do any work. They were hooked and addicted to social media immediately.
Talk about the wisdom in the elders.
Well, they saw the contrast immediately.
To see that and to pick up on that quickly and to reject something that is so novel and awesome.
It's been a slow drift for us.
That's right. He's right. I think that was. I think they were lucky.
They saw
That's such a good point, Justin.
I think they were lucky because they saw the contrast.
That's such a good. What an interesting theory right there. Like we've been rocked to sleep,
dude. We were. It's like the frog in the pot.
Yeah, we got the internet. We went neat. We had to wait, and it's like it still had that delayed gratification.
Yeah, just about information. You know, and you're like,
bro,
cool.
We had radio with like 2 stations, then radio with 15 stations, then TV with 1 station, then 15 stations.
Wow, why is this not being talked about more?
It went a little viral and it kind of stopped.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I know it's substantial.
It is. It's such an alarming, and I think you're exactly right, Justin. I think it was such a stark contrast that it was like, holy shit, it was obvious, right? Yes. It was so obvious how bad it was because it was like, oh my God, we went from this to all of a sudden now I can't get my teenager out of the hut. You know what I'm saying? He's there all day long. Dude. He's not doing his chores. He's not helping out with the hunting. Like, wow.
Yeah, they were even saying that the youth don't want to hang out with them or with each other because they just want to be on social media.
On the phone and talk on the phone, just like you see your kids now. It's
isolated, crazy. Dude. So, I mean, the point with that is, like, all human...
This should be shared in, like, every school. Like, every middle school teacher should know this study and should share this example. Like,
yeah.
Good luck, dude. Yeah, it's so there's so much money
obvious
behind all this stuff, and there's a lot of potential good that could be used. Like you could sell the good.
I wonder if, of course, right? Because and I'm sure they present it that way in case of an emergency, and now you can you get more knowledge and like
connects the world.
I wonder
if you put a list.
I wonder if Elon Musk
of side by side pros and cons. I would like to see that,
or just look at the real world.
I would look at the cons, and they would supersede the pros.
I think you could make an argument either way, but I think the reality is the way we're doing it's not working. Well, I think that's obvious.
So because you know how you reap the pros and not the cons is that you have elders and wise people that have access to it that deliver the message, which is
who does that?
What?
The Amish. Yeah. Do you know that they have to vote? Mm-hmm. They come together and they decide because a lot of people I thought that they were stuck at a particular technology. That's not true. When new technology gets introduced,
that's built in religions. A lot of them
they talk amongst each other and they decide, okay, here's a new technology. Do we want this or not?
I mean, that's just conservatism in its rawest form, right there. That's exactly what it is. That's you are and versus progressive.
You're filtering.
You're progressive. Let's push the boundaries. We'll figure it out later. Let's just do it. Let's more, newer, better. Like let's just go. Where conservative is more like, well, let's test this a little bit,
though?
Yeah, and what are the pros? What are the cons? Like, so interesting to me.
Yeah, it's especially dangerous when it taps into a natural human desire, like your desire to eat, your desire to procreate, your all these desire to build
with friends.
Yeah, so like when they tap into that, and then it can become very distorted and perverted. But the whole argument, like for good part, I saw this the other day. Like I'm in a group thread with cousins and my brother-in-law. And I wrote in there how, 2 of the things I said that are pacifying men the most in modern times is pornography and video games. And I made the argument. I said, pornography takes away a man's sexual drive, which is actually a driver to go out and create and do things. And then video games, we have an innate desire to build and conquer and be challenged.
Level up. Yeah,
And I said they pacify. And of course, right away, the video game players in the group are like, well, there's good things in video. And they send me a study. Video games speed up hand-eye coordination. So you can make those arguments. But I mean, I think we had to look in practice. Like,
listen, there's a lot of money and research that's gone into trying to prove all the benefits of that stuff. 100%, of course.
So
that's like the whole intuitive thing, right? Like where people get in a trap because they listen to their own lies they created in their head to justify things. They're like, oh, well, I was listening to my intuition.
You're just closing yourself.
It's like reality is different.
Dude, and speaking of influence, so we let our kids watch a little bit of TV, and my wife is super, like, she's very strict about what she allows or whatever. But one show that she likes, and we'll let the kids watch this sometimes, is Bluey. You guys ever watch Bluey?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
You got bad news?
Well, apparently that is the most watched content Disney's produced
ever.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen it?
No.
It's hilarious. It's actually it's really good.
What is it? I don't even know.
It's like this. So they're Australian, and it's this dog family, and every episode is essentially the family playing together with some kind of pretend game. So like they're a bus driver, the dad's a bus driver, and they're really funny. It's really funny.
Okay.
Like it seems like a nice family. I'll watch it with the kids or whatever. But they have Australian accents. Well, my son now is starting to speak with an Australian accent. He said to my wife, today that he wanted a banana.
He's like, crikey.
No, he literally said he said, Mom, I want a banana. She goes, a what?
A banana?
A banana. She's like, she sent me a video. She's like, he's getting an accent for freaking Bluey too. Kids are hilarious.
Oh, that's great.
With that kind of stuff.
Oh my God.
Did I tell you what he's so he's really into garbage trucks, and he's into garbage in general. Where does it go? Recycling, what goes in recycling, and all this kind of stuff, right? Super into it. He's got he was getting into garbage trucks a while ago. Remember that day we came over?
Yeah.
And Max let him play in his room, so he played with like all of Max's toys.
Yeah, the garbage truck.
Max had a garbage truck.
Yeah.
And so that was like, that turbocharged his like, oh my God. And so we got him that for Christmas. And since then he's got like 4 other garbage trucks. Loves it. So you know what he's doing now?
Yeah.
So I took him to the toy store, local toy store, and they have these like these long grabber arm things that you can squeeze the handle and it grabs things.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, my wife, she's really good at this. She's like, I bet he would love to pick up garbage outside and put it in like a garbage bin. And it's become his favorite thing. So he'll go outside. He puts on a latex glove.
Yeah.
And he uses the grabber, and he'll either
community helper.
Yeah, dude, he loves doing. But now he's getting a little zealot about it. He's a little bit too much. Yeah. Now he's like, it makes me mad when people throw garbage. I'm like, oh no.
God.
He's gonna say
activist.
Yeah. He's all Greta Thunberg.
Great at raising
No. I don't want you to feel like that. He's gonna tell someone off. You know what I mean?
So you just reminded me of something I actually wanted to announce on the podcast to see if I could get some help and maybe some resources from our audience. The audience is always great with things like this. So Max is now at an age, right? We're reaching 5 years old. And so I think he's old enough to comprehend this lesson that I want to teach him. And so recently, Katrina and her mom and I were also, and this has happened because of just like, or this conversation came up because of this overwhelming amount of gifts and things that he received over the last 2 weeks by Katrina, which by the way, I was like totally not the angry dad over that. I was like super blessed that our family did that, and like it was great that he was distracted and stuff like that. But the kid just did have like 4 birthdays in a 2 week time, like a verse of stuff, right? And so he has this toy closet that's just overflowing of toys. And in the past, the move is, we've talked about this on air before, where you go in there on a weekend with a black trash bag, just take things. You don't even say anything about it. You hide it.
They don't even notice.
They don't even notice after 2 weeks of hiding it, and they don't notice. Then it goes, you donate it or whatever with that. So I actually, and I talked, because her mom and her were challenging me like, oh, it's easier than you think it is, Adam. I said, no, okay, I don't expect it to be easy. I'm going to teach my son this, and it's an important time, and I think he's at a place where we can communicate this. And I was talking to him while he's in the bath, and said, we were talking about all his toys, and I was telling him about how there's lots of children that don't have any toys, or very, very little amount of toys. And it'd be really neat if we took some of your toys that you don't play with, and let's find a kid that we can give them to.
Yeah.
So
how did he respond?
Yeah, he was totally fine. My son,
that's great.
Yeah, my son was like, okay, Daddy. It was cute though. He was just like, well, these ones, Daddy, I still play with all the time. We could do the ones that I don't play with.
Sure.
I said, yeah, and of course. Yeah, of course, right? I'm like, yeah, no, son, none of your nice new toys. I know these are, but there's toys that you don't play. He's like, yeah, and he's like naming toys that I don't play with that anymore. Sure, yeah, we could give that puzzle or this or that, right? He's like racking his brain of all the toys he doesn't care about. So I'm like, yeah, that's fine. I don't mind. That's the idea, is what I want him to see is that, right? And so the reason why I bring it up at the podcast is like, I would like a resource. I've used like my church or local church or schools in the past have connected me to families in need. But I would really like to find someone to connect me. And I don't want to just donate it to a place. I want him to.
Because isn't the Goodwill just take toys?
Oh, yeah, of course. No. And there's lots of stuff like that. That's not what I want to do. I want to take him, and I want him to see the kid.
Who he's giving it to.
Yes. Yeah. And I want him to experience handing the toy to the kid, and watch him get the opportunity to see the joy that this toy that he doesn't even play with gives this other kid. And I'm hoping that will spark this, like, he'll want to do that all the time.
That's great.
So that's the goal. And so what my audience can help me is the resources to finding specific kids or families that are in need like this, and then and that would allow. And obviously, we're in California, so if you live in Minnesota and you have a place like that, it's not very helpful for me. So I need to find somewhere where I could drive him, take him to the home, and let him experience doing that. But
that's so sweet.
Yeah. But it was so funny because my mother-in-law, they were like challenging me like that can't, like, oh, he's good luck with that. I'm like, yeah, you just got to talk to him, So I did. And of course he didn't want to give away his toys he's in the middle of playing with, and I don't expect that. But the kid's got a closet full of shit that hasn't been played with forever. And we're all.
He's also very. He's a very loving.
Yes.
And mature in that sense for his age.
Yes, we're there now, right? Like about a year ago or so, probably doesn't fully comprehend that, and so the move was just to put it in the black trash bag, hide in the garage for a month when he doesn't realize it, then donate it somewhere with that. Now I'm like, okay, let's take this to another level of teaching. Let's show him what it looks like on the other side, and then allow him that experience of giving. And so maybe that sparks this new thing where he'll want to do that on a regular basis. And I think that would be a really, really cool thing to do.
Have you ever heard? You just remind me of this story. It was a true story, I think, of this. There was this little boy. This little boy's little sister was going to get a blood transfusion or something like that, and he heard about it. He was a little boy, and he went in there and he was asking questions, and then they realized that the little boy thought that he was going to give all of his blood to his sister, and die.
Oh,
have you heard that story?
I have heard that story.
Oh man, it makes you just cry. This little kid is just like, okay, I'll give it to her, and I'll say goodbye to everybody. And they're like, no, buddy, you're not giving it to her. Now you're fine.
You get to still live, dude.
Kid.
This kid just kills you.
God.
There was another kid. There was this other boy that saved his sister from
dog
pit bull attack.
Yeah. There's a picture of that kid.
And dude, and he got bit on his face and everything, but he was all proud because he was holding like a
champion.
Yeah, dude. What a little badass.
Yeah, I remember that story.
Oh, tough. Anyway.
That's so cool.
Did you guys? So I haven't confirmed this, but it's on the internet and it's new. So as of the releasing of this episode, this is new. It's making its rounds. I don't know if it's I don't have evidence that it's 100% accurate, but it looks legit, and it breaks my heart if it is real. It was a leak, an internal memo leak from 24 Hour Fitness. Did you get?
No, I mean, you briefly kind of explained it earlier, but
can you read it? Can you read it?
It's depressing, dude. It's
read it because I want it to be accurate. I don't want you to just kind of paraphrase.
Well, it sounds like another snafu in this whole. Was it EBI? Is that the acronym?
DEI or whatever.
Stuff.
Yeah, dude. So let me see. I shared it because it's really depressing if it is.
Did you tweet it? Did you tweet it out?
I did. I reshared it. So it's an internal memo. And it says, we're committed to creating more inclusive environment at 24 Hour Fitness. By the way, not a bad thing, but when you hear that now, what's about to follow is not inclusive. It's actually the opposite. But anyway,
a different thing.
Yeah, it says more inclusive environment, recognizing that we have work to do to become stronger allies in support of those who are impacted by, and then again, more buzzwords, systemic oppression and inequality. So to create a healthy and happy world within our clubs and other spaces, we support our team members bringing their full selves to work every day, including their freedom of expression. So essentially what it's saying is outside of the branded uniforms that you're supposed to wear, this is what we're going to also approve that our employees wear, okay? Black Lives Matter, anything, Pride or Pride Rainbow logos, Juneteenth logo, symbol, or date. And then here's where the controversy starts. You can wear something with the U.S. flag or U.S. logo, but you can only do it on Memorial Day, Flag Day, or 4th of July, Veterans Day, or Patriots Day.
But the other ones you can do whatever you want.
That's where people are
How
like,
is that inclusive?
What? I know. So you can't wear an American flag unless it's on a specific holiday, but you could wear those other things all the time. And so people are like, what is going on here?
And this requires a memo and some sort of policy.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I don't mind, whatever.
American
support whatever you want to support.
Unifies everybody in this country.
All those flags are under the American flag. That's supposed
everybody.
To represent. But anyway, look, BLM in particular, I think that was proven that was a racket. That was proven that they were taking money out of there, and it was.
Oh, we haven't heard from that group in a long time because of the scandal that came out of that.
Yeah, dude, they all of a sudden disappeared. But anyway, so yeah, if that is real, that is sad. That's sad. I hearing news from that company, I have a special connection. All of us do to 24 Hour Fitness. We all got our start there. But man, you imagine being a manager right now and reading that memo? I'd be like, what is going on here?
I feel like they're just pandering to the buzzwords and the popular conversation right now, and it's just like I don't know. That place has been a sinking ship for some time now, and it's like at this point they're just like throwing Hail Marys everywhere.
Do you think
it's I mean, I would ask you guys, like, if you think it's coming from upper management's idea, like think tank, or is this coming from like incidences where employees have been wanting to wear these things that are definitely
it's scared upper management that are responding to a loud minority. So it's a loud minority within a facility that is causing issues and stink about a topic, and then it's weak leadership that panders to the loud minority that feels that this is what I need to do, because if I don't, this could create negative news.
Here, I'll disagree. I'm going to disagree with you guys. And now none of us know what's happening, but here's what I think. I think nobody gives a shit. I think it's easy, very easy. Nobody cares when you work for someplace and they say you wear a uniform and nothing else. It's very acceptable. Yeah. I don't think anybody debates that. Oh, you want to work here? You want to work at In-N-Out? Here's your uniform. You want to work at Target? Here's your uniform. You want to work at 24 Hour Fitness? Here's your uniform, wear nothing else. I think that's simple. I don't think it's coming from a loud minority. I think it's coming from these new DEI requirements or
do they have that? Do you think they have that department? Look up does 24 Hour Fitness have a DEI?
That would matter if they had an investment.
There you go, because they have investment companies that manage them, and they get money based off of these DEI points.
Yeah, that's fact.
I think they're trying to make points, and they're trying to create like, our score is higher now. So
you might be right. If they
have these board meetings that evaluate that whole structure.
Okay, what are you doing for inclusivity? Oh, you get negative points or whatever. I don't think employees give a shit. I think if you work in a gym, you wear a uniform. I don't think anybody's going up to upper management. Hey, I know you said we got to wear a uniform.
You can have your beliefs. I really want to wear your values and express. But it's like, it totally sounds like it's coming from another.
What do you got there?
So their DEI score is 3.8.
There it is.
So they're trying to bump that.
Yep, there it is.
Oh, so they actually are publicly, they scored, and wow.
Yeah,
you're right. You're right. I wouldn't even debate that based off of that.
Have you guys, that's clear. I know it's different now, okay, but I don't think anybody gives
What's
a
high score, 5? Is it out of 5?
Yeah, out of 5.
Oh yeah, so 3.8 is not.
I don't think anybody gives a shit. I don't think they're losing staff because they can't wear a BLM shirt or rainbow flag or even American flag. I don't think anybody cares. You have a uniform. You work here.
I wonder what our DAI score is.
We don't care.
1.2.
I don't care what it is, dude. I don't care.
Well, it's so crazy.
I mean, actually pretty good if you consider our staff.
So I'm probably taking us down.
I know. Justin and Doug fuck us. Too much white privilege
too much right there. I think, it's funny. We probably have a pretty damn good score when I think of our staff, but it's not because we're trying to get a good score. We don't give a shit. You're a good employee.
I know. Isn't that ironic how it kind of plays out that way? Oh, gosh. Oh, I was listening to my niece who works for a startup company, and she's a recruiter. And her job is like to go get these engineers, and they're doing this like to her. Now the crazy part is like she grew up in the generation that's like, is like agrees with this way of thinking, and so, but she's also finding how challenging it is because they're like, we need more female that represent like this, and it's like,
where are they?
Yeah, and they're supposed to be engineers, and then they're also like, and then they also need to have this type of a background. So you're like, wait a second, they got to be a woman, they got to be this color, and they have to fit in this category, and they also have to be, and they all have to be an engineer. They got to fit in this category. Like, oh my god, it's like. It's so crazy to me that you're trying to build a company. The idea is to build something very successful, and the thought that you would go after a skin color, a background of a
gender,
person,
sexual orientation,
to fit into a position that probably tends to attract a type of person that doesn't necessarily fit in that box.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
And so you're willing to pass up the 5 other candidates that probably could have been huge A players. Imagine if sports teams and things like that actually manage their teams like this.
You know why sports teams don't do that?
Because they got to win.
Yeah, and you see it right there. Obvious.
They would be in last place.
Yeah.
If that's how they manage their teams. It's like,
I would ask people this, like, okay, you need emergency surgery. You have 2 options for doctors. The first person, the best doctor in the world at what you need. The second doctor is
the most inclusive,
and then just name a bunch of different categories.
They hit all the inclusive.
Which one do you like? I want the best. I don't care what they look like or what the fuck's going on.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of Asian and Indian dudes in the NBA, and I think that's a problem.
Well, if you know anything about the engineer profession, there's a class, a race, a type of sex of people that tend to gravitate towards that position, just like there is for firefighters or some. There's definitely some people
the pool is it looks a particular.
Yeah, and when you're in the business of making it, and her job is to recruit, right? To go get the whole reason why she has a job is supposed to go out and go get the best person for that position, and like they are held to these these inclusivity type of strategies. That's so backwards thinking.
It is. You know what makes me sad about this is that if you're a kid growing up in this environment, you may just ignore yourself because you think you're supposed to do something else because, I need to be an engineer. I need to do what if you like the stereotypical thing, or what if you like doing this other thing over here? This is what we did. By the way, this is what we did to formal education. We sold that you need to have a formal education so hard and made loans so accessible and so easy because everybody has to do it, that we've exploded the cost of formal education, and you have kids getting degrees that have no market value.
Worthless.
Because we've sold it so fucking hard. We didn't tell the complete story, and we're going to do this with all this, like, it's better for you to do this thing because why? What if I want it? What if I don't want to? No. What if that's not the thing I want to do?
Yeah.
Anyway,
well,
I know. This stuff
more shenanigans.
The hell out of me. Anyway, Doug, is this air before or after we go to Vegas?
After.
Okay, so we'll come back and report because we got to bring Zbiotics to Vegas.
Oh yeah, it's on.
We have to bring.
I will.
I don't plan on drinking a lot, but I know when we do our live event, I think we are providing alcohol.
It's like make
really?
or break.
You're not going to drink?
Guys.
Not a ton.
Are you going to be that lame?
Not a ton. When do I drink a lot?
We have a bar in the where we're speaking.
Okay, when's the last time any of us got drunk together?
Well, I mean, I don't mean we're not 20. We're not 22 anymore.
I don't even exceed
on a mission to get. Yeah, I never want to get hammered anymore. My goal is to have a nice buzz for as long.
Hold on a second.
Nice buzz for as long as I can.
Let's back up for a second. Have we all ever been really drunk together? We never have.
Who's been the drunkest of all of us together?
Together?
Yeah. Well, like when we've been a scene. Who have you seen?
I think you.
Me?
Yeah.
When?
There was that one podcast
on an episode. That was back when
you got so drunk.
When I was competing and I hadn't had any alcohol or anything like that.
And I mixed you a drink.
I was pretty.
I don't think we've never even been drunk.
Not really
with each other. It's because we're comfortable with each other.
We don't like a lot of weed.
We haven't had some times up at the Truckee House where we've been pouring whiskey like crazy. No, I would say Doug. I always tell when Doug gets lit.
Oh yeah, because he kind of fades. Real quick.
Yeah.
That takes 2 drinks.
Yeah,
by the way,
I would say Doug has been lit the most.
Yeah. So for me, 1 drink I'm okay. But if I'm going to do 2 drinks, I need the Zbiotics.
Yeah, for sure. There's no
because 2 drinks just wipes me out.
Yeah,
it does. It's horrible.
1 drink for me.
When your sleep gets affected.
If I don't use Zbiotic, the 1 drink, I could tell the next day. I've trained myself. I don't feel good.
I keep it so literally where my alcohol is at my house is the Zbiotic is right in the front of it with my little thing, and it's just it doesn't matter if I'm having 1 or 5. I'm having that. It's just I've trained myself that.
It's funny because if I veer outside, I do have certain alcohols that I will never get a hangover. Like I just won't
browns or whites or something.
But if I do wine,
it's not a lie. There's a lot of people like that.
Hold on.
There's a lot of people that they can have clears, they can have, but they can't have brown.
Whiskey does not get me hungover. Yeah, I've gone to the threshold. Trust me.
And next day you're fine.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
But if he has clear liquor, I bet it just smashes him, right?
Yeah. Well, mainly rum. Oh my god, rum or Jaeger or vodka. Vodka.
Wine's got to be the worst.
Bad headaches with vodka. Yeah, wine is definitely
the worst, right? Wine the day after,
and I found out it's cheap wines because like real expensive wine. I was like, okay, and I'm sure there's.
What do they put in the wine, Doug? What is it that's in there?
Sulfites, sulfates. I don't know. One of those things.
Yeah, and then
that was the factor.
Wine doesn't bother me for the most part.
Really?
But again, I'm not buying $2 Chuck either.
I've only had the worst hangover I ever had in my entire life.
$2 Chuck was actually good wine. It was sold cheap because
I know. Divorce. Actually, they won some awards.
They won awards.
Well, remember the story is that in the divorce, the wife got all the wine, and so she sold it all off. And so that's why it was $2 Chuck.
Oh, that's
yeah.
Wow.
So I can't remember.
You ever see a boat that's like a killer deal? You know, it's because they got divorced.
By the way, it's no longer $2.
A boat.
Is it? Do they still sell?
It's Charles Shaw, right?
So I don't know. I haven't bought.
So they still make it.
I drank one of those jugs of Carlo Rossi, the shit wine you get at the grocery. You know what I'm talking about? Like the jug
in a box. Or a jug
I think it was like. I think it was. I don't know the name. I think that's the name.
Yeah.
I hope I'm not offending anybody, but yeah, my cousin and I split one of those, and I had a terrible hangover all day long, and that was the first time I ever felt that.
Yeah.
Oh, terrible.
Yeah, I definitely, going back to the original point, I definitely think Doug has been the most lit. Justin's probably drank the most, but then you don't know he's the most lit.
No,
definitely.
He
I
handles
put him down.
He probably handles his alcohol the best.
Yeah.
And
Doug's jokes get inappropriate.
Now,
That's how he's so obvious.
He'll start making jokes.
Right away.
You got to get him out of public.
He gets loose lips right away. Doug is definitely loose lips when he gets.
We quickly get him out of the restaurant.
It's time for us to get out of here.
Doug's gonna get us kicked out.
Gets in trouble.
His jokes.
Another argument for clean living.
Is that the shit that's always on your mind, Doug? Is that what happens?
Trust me, I censor a lot.
Oh no!
Oh my goodness!
Maybe we should. Do we have the opportunity in Vegas to actually go, like just us? Just go hard?
Of course.
Well, we have after the event. We have.
I don't want to do it with a bunch of people though. I just got to be us. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you know that we have some of our friends coming in. Jen Cohen's coming. I believe Max Fugavere is going to be there, and I know for sure Jordan Shallow is going to be there.
Oh, okay.
They're coming to come hang out with us. So we absolutely at one point will hang out and probably have some drinks.
Okay. All right.
With them, and I know that. So we drive the cars on Thursday. Friday you speak.
Now, I think it's Saturday or Friday I speak.
Friday you speak.
Yeah.
Friday night is our VIP dinner. Saturday is our event.
Now the driving, I don't think we've shared with the audience. So we rented these like supercars or cars that you can race around a track.
Well, some of us rented supercars.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second.
Who did the Corvette?
The Miata doesn't classify.
That's not what I got. No. Shut up. And so you basically drive. How's it work? You do it by yourself.
So I'm not 100% how this one. They all work different, but they typically have a pro driver with you, and you're going to get to run 3 to 5 laps.
So first, do they drive it first to show you? To show you how fast it can go?
Or you drive with them in this passenger?
They're in the passenger seat.
Yeah.
I don't know if they show you one lap and then you get in, or they actually just right away just let you drive. They probably see.
And then you get a time.
Yeah, well, I'm sure what they'll do is you'll have a lap or two where he's like coaching you. Well, they'll time every lap. So they'll have when you start and go. But your first one's probably feeling it out. Your second one, you'll probably get a little bit better. Third one, you'll probably push the limits a little bit. That's how I imagine it's going to go. I haven't rented from this track or done anything like this with.
Have you ever done anything like this?
No, that's why I'm excited.
Have you guys?
I've
never done anything.
Yeah, and I really want.
So of course we're all going to see who's the fastest.
Go-kart,
right? That's the whole deal, right? We're going to see who gets the best.
We are, but I definitely know that Justin has the huge advantage in this one.
Well, I mean,
why? Because he weighs the car down.
He has the best. He has the best track car by far.
What's the car you get?
The GT3 RS.
GT,
that is the best track car that they.
So
rent.
you picked that. And then what did you pick, Doug?
Ferrari.
Doug and I have pistas, though, which is also arguably one of the best track cars.
So I picked, and I know you guys made fun of me, I picked the Skyline. But the reason why...
Skyline or GTR? Is it a GTR?
Skyline GTR.
Nissan GTR? Is that what you got?
Yeah, it's a Skyline GTR, right?
Okay.
I don't know. Doug, look it up. We sound like idiots. But the reason why I got that is because you guys know me. I'm not really that into cars.
Yeah.
But when I was a kid, I liked the whole tuner... that whole
Fast and the Furious.
You're Fast and Furious.
I kind of like that whole thing, and the GTR Skyline. Like that's a pedigree of cars that you could tune to like crazy horsepowers and performance. So it's more of a like childhood attachment. Is that the right name, Doug? Skyline
yes,
GTR?
I believe so. Yeah.
Did you look it up? Look up his exact car. I want to make sure.
So it'll be weird if I get fastest time, right? Would that be kind of like unexpected, right, Justin?
You can expect all you want.
I think I'm undefeated in the circuit. The what are they called? The circus games, carnival games.
Yeah.
So would this qualify as a carnival game?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean,
so we'll break the cycle.
So the advantage to you is that you do have it. You have the slower car, and so this is one of those situations where it's like none of us are pro drivers. So going slower is probably going to.
I don't think anybody's advantage is just.
You definitely do. You have the car that was meant to do this. Yes. Coming from experience driving that car, you have a car.
I have no experience. I don't.
That is going to
except
be
for when I was
awesome to drive.
Let's see. I was like a freshman in college.
When you were
the last time I drove. Yeah, I was a valet. I drove a Porsche. That's as much experience as I have. So,
but you have the GT3 RS, which is the
I can't
car.
wait. I'm excited.
But Doug and I's Pista is going to be a cool car.
Can I tell you guys if like something I would love to do with you guys that would be fun but very dangerous? I would love to buy like shitty little cheap kind of fast-ish cars, but little shitty cars. All of us get the same ones, and then we fucking race to a city. Like what's that? What was
Gumball?
that one? Gumball.
Yeah,
do a gumball style race.
Did you see the guys that just? Did you guys see the guys that just broke the Guinness World Record on that?
No.
Oh, it's really cool. Google most recent. It's Cannonball Run.
Is it Cannonball or Gumball?
Run.
It's called Cannonball Run.
Cannonball, I think.
Well, Gumball was another thing.
Look up Cannonball World Record. They just got set. The effort.
Challenge.
Hey, look at the effort put into this car. It was actually really cool. I just actually read this article, so it's funny you brought that up. It just got broken, and it broken during COVID. And because basically these are the rules. Like you have to drive from one side of the country to the other side of the country as fast as you possibly can. Period. And that means
so you get pulled over for a ticket.
That's right. Exactly. And like
you got to take a poop. Whatever.
That's right. All those. And so they modify these cars in any way they want, pretty much, to do it. And like it's not. People think like, oh, speed is the only thing. It's like, come on. There's so many other variables. Going to the bathroom, gas tank, efficiency. These guys created this car and they actually modified it to look like a police car, kind of like almost like an undercover car. They had like four different. Bro, the guy in the passenger seat had 4 different radar detectors, jammers, all set up. They were checking. They extended the gas tank to be like 4 times larger, so they get like the effort put into
25 hours. Wow. It's from New York to LA.
Show the car.
25
hours. Show the car.
I'm going to show images.
Average speed of 113 miles an hour.
There it is, right there. So they modified the front headlights and taillights to look just like
these. Wait, what car is that? Is that an Audi?
Audi.
That's an
no. It's like a Ford.
Taurus.
It's like a Ford Taurus. Yeah,
it looks like an Audi.
But it's all gassed up. I mean, they totally modified it to be.
Hey, so tell me right now, this wouldn't be fucking a blast if we all got identical cars.
Look at the gas tank in the back.
And created our own Cannonball Run type race. Wouldn't that be amazing?
Of course, this would be fun.
Sure.
Just to,
just
to see.
I love it.
Bro, all the way across the country in almost one day.
I'll drive fast just for fun, dude.
That's just crazy.
Yeah. I know. When we drove up to Truckee a couple times, and I had the editors in my car, and I was going so hard, bro. And I could see in the review. I could see my review mirror. And they're like, "Ooh, I want to say."
They're like 3 sheets, dude.
No guy wants to be the guy in a fast car that says slow down. It's like chicken. You know what I mean? Everybody's almost like, "Ooh, I'm a little comfortable." I'm not going to say anything.
I don't want to be the guy that admits I'm scared.
No.
Yeah, isn't that cool though? I thought that was. I wish you found the article, because the article actually went into detail of all the cool things.
I can't believe. So it's an illegal race. It's literally.
Totally illegal. Yeah, you're trying to avoid cops.
You're breaking all.
Which also it makes it kind of even more fun, right? The fact that you're in this like illegal underground type of race.
This takes us all the way back to DEI. How come there's not women competing?
Yeah,
I know.
Oh, I know why. Because they're not stupid enough to do a race like that. Is that why?
Men do dumb shit. Yeah,
we do dumb shit.
Yeah, you had to find the article so that we can all read it together, because I thought it was a really fascinating article on like all the cool little specs and modifications and the thought that went into. Now they did have a massive advantage too, though, that it was during COVID. So roads are going to be way more clear.
Oh, so of course they broke the record.
Yeah, but I think a lot of it was because they destroyed the record. I think the previous record was also a lot of the other stuff that was put into like making sure this car flew under the radar, as far as like getting past getting pulled over and going longer. So pretty cool.
That's like something cool. I would want to do. I think.
Yeah,
it'd be a blast.
Yeah.
All right, so the shout out actually, Adam. It was a podcast you were interviewed on. And it was fire. You sent it to me when you guys were, in Mexico, and I had the opportunity to listen to it. Actually, I had a break, and it was really good. Kind of broke down your life. You talked about business. Great advice for people.
That was my buddy Mike. So I actually hired Mike straight out of prison. So his story.
I love that story.
Yeah, he's got a cool story.
What a great story.
On how I took a chance on him,
and now look at him.
Yeah. It's his podcast is called Esco Elite Mindset, and you can find him on YouTube, Spotify, all those things like that. And then of course the interview that he did with me. But yeah, funny you say that, because it was Katrina said, she obviously listens to all the stuff that I do outside of here. And she was like, that was the best interview I've ever heard you. And I thought, I wonder why that is. Probably because we have so much history. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, chill. It was such a chill vibe for me. And like, he knew he could ask me whatever. Yeah. He knows obviously a lot about me. He worked for me for a long time. And so
I have a theory as why I think it was the best. Besides your experience and all this, because you have a lot of wisdom that you could share. But he put you in a humble place right away by saying how much you did for him. And then your true self comes out whenever that happens. And so you felt grateful. It's what it sounded like. It sounded like you were like really grateful that he said that. And then you went into really teaching some really good stuff.
Interesting. I'll have to say that to Katrina because anytime she says something to me like that, because obviously our wives are probably the most critical of us, right? I know your wife. Is
my wife will tell me.
Tell you like you suck. Yeah,
so I get arrogant on that.
I get that. Like so, getting like literally that people might think that like, oh, no big deal. Your wife said no. For my wife to go like that was the best interview I've ever heard you do.
It's
I was like, oh, I'm gonna go listen to that. And so I'm like, and so I listened and I'm like, what? I was trying to unpack what was it. There definitely felt to me that it was there was a lot of like cool takeaways. I think that seems to be like when you can walk away and go like, oh, that was a nice little gym. That was and fire. They all kind of tied together. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know what it was, but I'll bring that up to her, see what she thinks. I thought that was funny.
Element is an electrolyte powder with no artificial sweeteners or sugar that you add to your water. Tastes amazing. And it gives you the electrolytes you need to fuel your workouts, to feel good. It's got enough sodium to make a difference. Most electrolyte powders don't have enough sodium, believe it or not. This is especially valuable to those of you that eat a whole food-based diet or those of you people that like to work out a lot and sweat a lot. This makes a huge difference. By the way, if you go low carb or no carb, you need to add electrolytes to your diet for the most part. This is why people on low carb diets often feel like they're getting headaches or they get that keto flu. It's typically because you don't have enough electrolytes. Anyway, check out this company. Go to drinklmnt.com/mindpump and you'll get a free sample pack with any drink mix purchase. All right, back to the show.
Our first caller is Kamal from the UK.
What's up, Kamal?
What's happening?
How can we help you?
Hey, what's up, guys? It's awesome. First and foremost, love the work you do. Genuinely, like fatherhood, marriage, fear of God. Beautiful. I'm calling in because I recently turned 30 and sort of had a bit of a reflection of just wanting to get in the best shape possible. I do professional speaking and training for young people in the UK, so I'm on stage a lot and just have this goal of building like a real solid, bigger frame with good muscle tone. So I've just finished a 12-week personal training course. Took me from like 91 kilograms down to 83, working out 3 times a week, doing boxing once or twice a week. And it had me down at 1,800 calories a day. Really happy with the results. But not continuing with the personal training, sort of taking my own program and taking control. So I'm definitely going down a mind pump program route. I just have no idea where to start with regards to which program would be best for the goals. And then also being at 6'1", about 83 kilograms, my body fat's at about 17% last time I measured now. So just looking for advice on, which program and the mini carts versus the bulks. Do I raise the metabolism first? It's just coming off the back of that. I don't want to delete all my progress, but equally, I don't want to live at 1,800 calories for the rest of my life either.
Yeah. So specifically, your goal. What is your goal specifically? You is it just the aesthetic? You want to build more muscle, get leaner, all of the above?
Pretty much. I'd say going down the aesthetic route of being quite big, quite lean. For that physical presence, and then from there I do a little bit of boxing and want to be athletic and be able to move really well.
Okay,
sounds like we need to build, huh?
Yeah, this is pretty straightforward. So 1,800 calories, very low for a guy your size, and someone who's working out 4 days a week. I would do a reverse diet. So start to bump the calories. Make sure you hit your body weight in grams of protein. That's the most important part of this. And then MAPS Anabolic would be a great program to pack some muscle on your body. So you're at 1,800 calories. I'd bring you up to about 2,200 calories. Start MAPS Anabolic. Okay. You could do the 3-day-a-week version. Hit your body weight in grams of protein, trying to eat all whole foods. And what you'll see is you're just going to get stronger and stronger, build some muscle, and you'll probably simultaneously get leaner as you build some muscle. So your weight might not change much at first, or it might go up a little bit, but you'll find yourself with more muscle and less body fat.
Yeah, just slowly increase those calories. Almost like, so it not necessarily a reverse or a reverse bulk, but basically a bulk, just a slow, gradual bulk that you're increasing calories, building, and just stay in that phase for as long as you can stand and get to the calorie amount that's like uncomfortable for you, like where it's like you just like that amount of food you can't sustain too much, and we'll start kind of cutting it back down.
Yeah. So in other words, you go up to 2,200 calories. I would stay there for a while, see how you feel. Then you can bring it up to 2,400 calories, see how you feel. And you can continue on that trajectory. And when you've kind of hit the limit is when you start to gain body fat more than you'd like. And then you go back down. But at your size, your calories, I think at the current calories you're at, if you eat if you hit that 2,200 calories, hit your body weight and protein and follow a good program like MAPS Anabolic, you're just going to build muscle. You're just going to get stronger.
Yeah,
is what you're going to see. What are your grams of protein now? Are you tracking that, or is it just calories?
I'm tracking protein, and I fluctuate. I think the best days are like 150, and then the worst days are like 85, 90. Yeah. And it fluctuates between those, whether I'm on the road or I'm at home where I can cook. We
got to get you consistent with the protein, okay? Because that's going to make a big difference. Even
building blocks.
Yeah, even in studies where they compare calorically controlled diets to each other. In other words, two diets, similar calories, the higher protein version results in more muscle and more fat loss. So you build more and you lose more body fat with the higher protein. So I would be very consistent. And the way you do this is you eat the protein first. So if you're aiming for 150 grams or let's say 160 grams of protein, you want to eat about, 50 grams of protein in each meal from whole food. And then you can eat the rest, of your macros, your carbs, and your fats and your fiber and stuff like that. Now on the road is where I would use protein powders because it sounds like you're busy when you're on the road speaking. Like it's hard for you to get an actual meal. Is that correct?
Pretty much. It's train stations, service stations, and the options are terrible.
Yes. Oh, yeah. That's where I would bring protein powders with me. You can mix one up, hit those protein targets. Do not miss those protein targets. That'll make the biggest difference yes. And then MAPS Anabolic, and there's a 3-day-a-week version. I would have you do that one since you're already working out, relatively consistently. And then just track your strength. That's going to be the best metric to pay attention to. Am I getting stronger consistently? Now, you did mention athletic performance as well. Mm-hmm. Following MAPS Anabolic would be MAPS Performance. That would be the perfect follow-up to that program.
I mean, honestly, we kind of recommend that sequence of anabolic to performance then to aesthetic, depending on how long you're going to draw this out. But that would be sort of, that's our general advice for anybody going through our programs. And if you're really focused on the building phase, that's where you could probably spend a little more time in anabolic. And get to that point where you feel like you built a really good base, and then reveal it through aesthetic. So that would be the last program. Do you have MAPS aesthetic?
No, I bought the anabolics, the performance, and I think there was like a combination of performance with, I think you called the mods, where it sort of gives bit of aesthetic.
Okay, well, we'll give you that one then too to kind of follow up. So if you follow those in sequence, that'd be perfect.
Exactly, but I would start with MAPS Anabolic for sure.
Definitely.
Okay, and what was interesting is the PT was like, I'd continue on 1,800 calories because you're almost there, and if you kept going, you'd really start to see the muscles revealed, and you're bigger than you think. But then, like saying about the building of muscle, we go in a bulk. Yeah. How do you manage that without losing all the progress?
You won't. Yeah, I don't think you will. So there's you got to look at it this way, right? So you're at 1,800 calories. At some point, you'll plateau. Your body will adapt. So then, what do you got to do? You got to drop it even more, right? You're already low for a guy your size. So then, what do? You go down to 1,500 calories. By the way, there's two ways to get leaner. Yeah. Okay. There's two ways to get leaner. And it's all about body fat percentage. This is what people need to understand, right? It's how much the body fat you have, what percentage of your total body weight is body fat, right? So 10% body fat on a 200-pound man is more total body fat than 10% on a 100-pound man. So it's body fat percentage that makes sense or that we need to pay attention to. So there's two ways to get leaner. One is to lose body fat. The other is to gain muscle. So if you were to just gain muscle right now and not gain any additional body fat, let's just say all you did was gain muscle, no body fat.
Your composition's going down.
Your body fat percentage is going down as well. And so what'll probably happen with this bump in calories and this focus on strength is you'll probably see yourself get a little leaner as well. Not necessarily because you lost body fat, although that can happen as well, but rather because you gained muscle and now your body fat is a smaller percentage of your overall body weight. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. That works with that worry, because it was like down in jean size. I'm the same size as when I was 23, and I'm like, I love it. I don't want to lose it. So that really helps.
No, you won't. You got to be careful. You got to be careful for is if you go off the rails, right? Sometimes people will go, okay, I'm going to go up to 2,200 calories. Then they stop paying attention, and then it goes 27, 28.
Quality.
Yeah, and then they're not eating. They're not hitting their protein targets, and they're getting a lot of the extra calories from other places, which tend to stimulate your appetite even more. So you still want to stay controlled and disciplined. That's why, we'll refer to it as a reverse diet. It is bulk, right? It is a bulk in the sense that you're adding calories, but we say reverse diet because it's structured and disciplined versus sometimes when we say bulk, what people do is they go, oh, cool, just eat more.
Yeah. A lot more calories.
And then they go off.
Yeah.
Picture The Rock with the pancakes and stuff.
That's right. That's right.
The final question I just had as a follow-on with Anabolic, when I looked through, there's no sort of like warm-up or anything.
Yes.
Is there anything you recommend doing to sort of prep?
Yeah, there's two ways to warm up. Or general way would be to do a set or two of the specified exercise with lightweight. Make sure you feel good. That's a very general way to warm up. The more specific and much better way to warm up would be to do what's called priming. Now, priming is very specific to the individual. Mm-hmm. We have a program called MAPS Prime, and MAPS Prime, you go through a compass test. It's literally just a test. You do 3 movements. Based on how well you perform those movements, it'll tell you what your priming movements are for your workouts. It's because everybody's a little different, right? You might have ankle mobility issues, or you may have an anterior pelvic tilt. Yeah. Right? It different from someone else. So your priming movements will be specific to your body. And what I can do, because we're already sending you aesthetic, is does he have aesthetic, Doug?
He already has it.
He says you already have aesthetic, so I'll just send you prime then. Now you got everything.
Oh, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
So and then go through. We did a video, a webinar actually for the compass tests, and so I get a little more specific there with Doug and kind of take him through those. And a lot of those tests you can just apply before your workouts, and it's going to cover a lot of the broad strokes in terms of like your upper body, your midsection, your lower body, and like get everything kind of warmed up specifically in your joints. So check that out. That's mapsprimewebinar.com, I believe. Yeah.
Correct.
Yep.
Awesome, man. So we're going to treat it as a bulk, go up slowly, 2,200, do that for a few weeks, and keep going until it feels like stop and focus purely on other numbers going up strength-wise.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. If you're getting stronger, you're doing a lot of things right.
Beautiful. That's awesome, man. I really appreciate it.
You got it, man. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah.
Pleasure. Keep doing the good work.
Appreciate it. All right. Yeah, it's for a guy, just for people listening, 6'1", 83 kilos. What is that? 170 something pounds. Mm-hmm. 1,800 calories. It's kind of low. Now I do know people that
feels low. Yeah,
it is. It's kind of hard to maintain 1,800 calories consistently when you're surrounded by food, and you're a big guy. He's not a small dude. So I don't feel comfortable typically keeping someone that size, the height and everything, that body weight at those, unless he feels amazing and everything's all right. But he did say his protein intake, that it varied.
It's inconsistent, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and that would make a huge difference in terms of him and his progress.
Massive. But the point I made, I want to make it again. You can gain weight and simultaneously get leaner. And it's not because you necessarily lost pounds of body fat, but rather the current body fat you have becomes a smaller percentage of your body weight. And you can do this by building muscle through a very well done reverse diet. So you can actually gain weight, build muscle. Oh my God, I'm leaner. Yeah. And that happens. That can definitely happen.
It's the Goldilocks way.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. And it's a great place to be.
Our next caller is Janie from Pennsylvania.
Hi, Janie. How can we help you?
Good morning.
Oh, I'm so excited to meet you guys. This is like the single most exciting call I've ever had. And I just think I cannot give you guys praises enough. I have to give the obligatory thank yous for all you do. You've turned me into like your little mind pump guru, and I tell everybody about you guys. It's great.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. How can we help you?
I'm so grateful. So I'll stick to my question here. Some things have changed since writing my question, but we'll get into that then. So my name's Janie. My backstory is I've been an athlete all my life. I've played rugby, played soccer, threw in track, played softball. And I worked out through both of my pregnancies. So I have a 5-year-old daughter and a 2-year-old son. After I had my son, the next calendar year, I lost over 50 pounds over the course of the year. And during that time, I did track my food. I took my weight from 225 pounds to 175. I hit a few plateaus, gained 5 or 10 pounds, but then worked to stabilize. And then the following year, I didn't have to track food at all. And it was great. During like January, February, March, I gained 10 to 15 pounds this past January, February, March, and I wanted to ramp back up again. I always wanted to get down lower than 170. Ideally, I'd like my ideal weight. I know ideal bodies and ideal weight are different, but would be 150 to 160 pounds. I'm 5'10". I lift several times a week, and I also go to Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu a few times a week, and they typically burn around 600 calories. I started to track food when I really wanted to like shave off a few more pounds. And I was shook because I didn't add it up until the end of the week. But even on days where I'm like, oh, I'm working out more, I should eat more, I was only eating 1,700 calories a day. And I know you guys are going to tell me, lay off the cardio, go get strong. So I wanted to fix my eating and get lean. I plugged my info into the macronutrient calculator. And at that time, I was 180 at 5'10". I put that I moderately work out, and the breakdown was 2,648 calories, 166 grams of protein, and 364 grams of carbs, which is a lot of food. I ran them multiple times because I was shocked about the number of carbs, but it seemed significant, and I wonder if there's any right way to bump up slowly to that, or how it calculates such a big number. And I've recalculated since then, but I have some follow-up then.
Yeah. So, well, first, let me ask you this: do you have an idea of what caused or led to the weight gain over the January, February, March period?
You know, I'm going to say it was probably just like holiday stress and eating. And, I wasn't really tracking. So I'm like, I've stabilized my weight for a year. Let's go a little crazy. Yeah. And it kind of got a little out of hand. So since writing all this, my kickboxing coach helped up my calories. I did that for like 3 months. And then I just hired a trainer, and I've been in a little bit of a cut with him for about 4 weeks while I'm like doing hypertrophy training.
Okay, good. Okay. So here's kind of what's happening. First off, you work out a lot. Yeah. You know what? Let me back up. Macro calculators are a general estimate, but when it comes down to the individual, it can be radically incorrect. Okay. Because human metabolism is very complex, and it can adapt radically in lots of different directions. So could I get somebody your size or lean body mass to a point where your maintenance calories are like 2,600 calories? Yeah. I mean, I've done this with people smaller than you. Mm-hmm. But could your metabolism also adapt to a 1,200 calorie or 1,000 calorie diet? Yes, I've seen that as well. So macro calculators are not anywhere as valuable as tracking your own and seeing where your performance is, your body fat. Like if you're eating on average 15 to 1,700 calories and you're not gaining or losing weight, well, then your maintenance is right about there. Okay. And what's happened, and I think I can say this confidently with someone like you have an athletic background. So you probably have conditioned yourself to try to beat yourself up to burn calories. You probably are an intensity junkie. Your gauge of what a good workout is based off of what you can tolerate, not necessarily what's appropriate. So some of my most challenging clients ever were high-level athletes, collegiate athletes who then, they're out of college 5 or 6 years. Maybe they had some kids, they got a job. Okay, I want to get back into shape. And the way that they judge their intensity of their workouts and the way that they view their diet is so skewed. It's so difficult to get them to train differently because what they understand was what they, was where you lived probably for years. I mean, how long would you say you were like a hardcore athlete for? How many years?
I mean, pretty much always from the time I did, basketball 4 years. Some years I'd even do double sports. So I was like in softball and I was throwing in track at the same time. I did powder puff football, which got me interested in rugby. So I pretty much did that all when I went to college. So it's pretty much all. Yeah. And hypertrophy training has been like mind blowing because like, I'm the kind of person that I'm like re-racking weights in between sets for something to do.
Yeah. What is your ultimate goal here? Do you want to continue with the Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, remain in that athletic mindset, or are you just trying to change body composition?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is to find the compromise, right? This is the only way we can sort of like have a real conversation is what are you actually going to do? What will you compromise in terms of all those other activities that you're doing versus like just devoting specific days towards weight training and trying to build your body up?
Yeah, so part of me signing up with my coach was kind of finally taking the breather in the hardcore training, cardio, go, like you guys talked about on the Muscle Mommy episode. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to commit with my trainer. And we talked about it because sometimes I do CrossFit too. So I'm only doing those 2 days. I'm only doing those 2 days a week. So I'm only going to one boxing session a week right now. And sometimes some CrossFit. I'm getting over bronchitis. So I've kind of taken a break from that. So I'm truly committed to the hypertrophy training. I'm on a 12-week program with him. And then I'm kind of scared of what happens after that. But I do want to stay committed to the Muay Thai. It's my 3rd year with my Muay Thai gym. So I want to continue to put a lot of practice into that and like Jiu-Jitsu secondary. But I thought I really want to give it a fair shot at trying to give myself some of the aesthetic goals that I've been wanting for a long time. And I knew I needed to change some things.
Okay, so tell me, how many days a week?
Yeah, how many days? Let's get specific.
Yeah, how many days a week are you going to do Muay Thai?
Like when I'm fully training regularly, at least 3.
Okay, so this is what your routine's going to look like. 3 days a week of Muay Thai. And what is it, 2-hour classes?
Usually 1, unless I do double classes, then it's 2.
Okay, so I knew that. I knew you would throw in double classes.
Okay.
If you're doing Muay Thai 3 days a week, you should be lifting no more than 1 day a week.
Yep, that's it.
Okay.
And you definitely
so
don't.
right now, after I'm done with my 12-week lifting program, that's what you suggest.
I don't think you should do it now either. How many days a week are you lifting on top of the Muay Thai?
Right.
Right now, I'm only doing 1 day of Muay Thai, and then I'm doing 5 lifts a week.
Oh, okay. Still too much. So if you're doing 1 day of Muay Thai, I would have you do 2, maybe 3 max of strength training. But I don't know what the 5 days of strength training looks like. I don't know what the intensity and the volume looks like. I don't know if it's...
Is this a split program? Like what program is it?
So can I say the trainer's name?
I mean, it's up to you. That's fine.
His name's Cody Wing. It's Modern Warrior. It took me a while to find a trainer I really clicked with and kind of jives with what you guys promote. So I have like a day or 2 of legs. Then I have a tricep chest day. Then I have like a back deadlift day. So it's usually like 3 or 4 days of arms and 1 or 2 days of legs.
Okay. So it's like a traditional split.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you could do that. I'd probably have you go down in the total volume, but I'm not training you. So I can't, I'm not working with you. So I can't make an accurate judgment. I'm just basing it off of my experience. But if 1 day a week of Muay Thai plus your strength training, you should be reverse dieting is what you should be doing. Mm-hmm. You should be taking your calories, being consistent, hitting your target body weight in grams of protein, and slowly moving your calories up. And what you should see is strength gains. You should see strength gains in the gym. Don't do any additional CrossFit. Don't do any additional cardio. Don't do anything additional. Get really good sleep. How is your sleep right now? And be very honest.
Usually like 6 hours a night. Like I'm the type of person, if I had 36 hours in a day, that might be enough. Yeah. So I usually like marathon for a couple of days and then I sleep because I just have insomnia and I like to get up and get my workout in before my kids wake up some days. And, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to make a guess here, but I think I'm right. You probably have some HPA axis dysfunction. They used to call that adrenal fatigue back in the day. Wasn't a great way to describe it because it's not that your adrenals are fatigued, but I'll bet money that your hormone balance is off, and you're basically a cortisol junkie right now. You're running off of the energy of cortisol,
stress hormones,
stress, and push and go and push until I crash and I get sick.
It feels good too, injured,
right? So here's what if I was your trainer, what I would have you do. You do 1 day a week of Muay Thai. You would do 2 days a week of strength training, and you would prioritize the hell out of your sleep. 6 hours. Listen, the data is very clear on this. Consistent 6 hours of sleep a week more than doubles your risk of injury. It hammers your hormones and it destroys your ability to recover. So what you're doing right now, and you're probably getting away with this because you probably have really good athletic genetics. It's probably one of the reasons why you were drawn to sports to begin with, is you're just surviving. And you're doing okay surviving. Most people wouldn't survive in this place, but you're not thriving. You're definitely not thriving. I would back way the hell off everything, and I would make sure that I'm devoting 8 hours every night to sleep. So what does that look like? That means I'm going to have an hour before I'm going to bed, turning the lights off or down, wearing blue light blocking glasses, being calm. I would cut my caffeine, no caffeine past 1 p.m. I would make sure that it's
much caffeine now.
Good.
It's almost zero. I don't need it.
Okay, good. Yeah, your cortisol out.
You got
your adrenaline, cortisol.
Adrenaline instead.
I would go go to bed at the same time, wake up at the same time every day. Prioritize it. Here's what's going to happen. What's going to happen is your metabolism is going to speed up.
Yep.
Or you're going to notice your strength gains are going to go up. You're going to start to feel more energized. You're going to start to feel healthier. Yeah. Your recovery is going to explode. And then here's what's going to happen, Janie. If you follow my advice, you're going to start feeling so strong and so good. You're going to be strongly tempted to add more workouts. Yes. You're like, oh shit, this is great. I'm doing good. Let's go crazy.
Sweet. Yeah.
Do not do that. Okay. You do not do that.
Right now you're running in place. Actually, you're sprinting in place. You're going nowhere. And so you have to really honestly have that discussion with yourself. Like, do I want to progress? Do I want to move forward? Do I want to get my body into a new level? Or do I want to just keep ice skating right here?
Yeah. And let me put it this way.
Right now I feel my body getting stronger and I'm at 1650 to 1750 calories wise. And 165 grams of carbs. But I think over the years of dieting and just focusing on purely losing weight, where now I'm trying to get lean, I scared myself away from the carbs. So that's a lot. Sometimes I feel like I'm force feeding myself, especially to hit those carb macros feels challenging.
Yeah. Okay. So if a slow reverse diet, bump the calories, reduce your activity, focus on sleep, you're not going to gain a bunch of body weight. You might gain a little bit, but you're not going to gain a bunch of body weight. And what'll happen is you're going to see your strength explode, and you're going to start feeling.
And
really
honestly,
good.
I'll probably do this after my 12-week program, and I really want to improve the balance between upper and lower body because right now I bench as much as I squat.
Yeah. Okay, so
what
get you on a full body workout
program? What program might help me make that transition into
MAPS Anabolic? MAPS Anabolic, 100%. Do you have that program?
No.
Okay, I'll send that to you.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Look, Janie, I'm going to put you in the forum too because I'm going to make some bad predictions. Okay, over the next 12 weeks, you're going to get sick or injured because of the amount of training that you're doing, the lack of sleep. So if that happens, get on the forum, talk to us. Now, I hope your trainer watches this. They probably know what they're doing, but that's a lot. That's a lot for a little bit of calories. Yeah. And you're already talking about how your sleep is 6 hours. You have insomnia, then you crash, you do a marathon, and then you go to. Those are all signs that you need your body needs to back up a little bit so you can start to get it working for you. Because somebody working out as much as you, consuming under 1,700 calories, not losing any weight, that is a very clear sign your body's holding on to everything. It has geared itself towards storing calories. It has geared itself towards not burning body fat. It is gearing itself towards let's not speed up the metabolism.
Yeah, let's be efficient.
That's right. So we want to move it in the other direction. Otherwise, you're going to live a life, and what eventually happens, you'll burn out. Because here's what it looks like. HPA axis looks like this. More wired energy, crash. Yeah. And it's I am fatigued. I don't know what is wrong with me. I feel terrible. Hair's falling out, whatever. And I've seen it happen so many times. You're in that wired energy state at the moment. So
yeah, and I have bronchitis, and I kept lifting because it's not high cardio. So I'm I can still lift a couple of days, and then it lingered, and then I really had to sit my ass down.
Yes, yes.
Recover.
Yeah, and and again, this is hard for someone like you because you probably probably served you well in athletics. A lot of the success that athletes have. Of course, it's talent and hard work, but it's also the ones that can persevere because it's so demanding.
Push through all the obstacles.
That's right, but you can't do that forever, and it's not going to work right now. If you just try to push through, your body's going to fight back at some point, probably with an injury is probably what will happen. So, yeah, I'd have your trainer watch this, and hopefully I could talk them into scaling you down to 2 full body workouts a week. You can walk on the other days. It's okay to stay active. You can do your Muay Thai once a week and then reverse diet you and just carefully watch how things work, but you should start to feel stronger and feel better. And then the sleep part, that's the other part I would look at.
Here's my suggestion, and this is just because I know that athlete mentality of always having to kind of do something and make sure that you're feeling like you've accomplished something. really focus on skills, right? Like, so if you're into Muay Thai, I want you to really, hone in on like the beauty of your leg kicks, the sharpening of your technique, and really get into that, but it's at a really like low to moderately intense level. So you can do all of these things that you want to accomplish and feel like you're accomplished, but you just need to let your body recover and restore it, so that way you perform at a higher level.
What a great point. Yeah, I mean, like on your days off, you're not working out, but you are practicing technique and you're perfecting technique, and that'll go a long way into making your Muay Thai, much better.
Yep.
That's great. I really appreciate it. Those are great suggestions, and I look forward to implementing those things over time and getting in the forum. That's great. I really appreciate it.
We'll see you in the forum. Let us know how things are going, okay?
Okay, I will. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Janie.
All right.
Have you had
calm down? I just want. Hold on a second.
Yeah, I've had clients, and you get trapped in that wired energy, go feeling, and
it feels good. I mean, it's literally addictive.
Yes.
Yeah.
It feels. That's why you're a cortisol junkie.
Yeah. You're just like, you get something out of it.
Yes. And then body starts to hurt, things start to break down. You're wondering, why am I eating so little, not getting leaner? This isn't working. But you ignore it, and you continue to just survive. So backing off, and this sounds crazy, but people will back off, and then after a few weeks, it's like, what is happening? Why is my body progressing? I feel like I'm not doing anything. What is that? It's like, okay, you're finally working with your body.
Our next caller is Tina from Georgia.
Hi, Tina.
Hello.
Hi.
How can we help you?
Good to see you both. Thanks for taking the time to talk to me. At a high level, so I'm interested in the best stretches for to loosen up what I believe is very tight chest, and I have a lot of knots in my neck and shoulders to increase my external rotation of my shoulder for proper overhead squats. And I'm very flexible otherwise in my hips and ankles and knees, and so the fact that I feel like I'm really limited in my shoulders is surprising.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm relatively fit, 41 years old. I work as a lawyer, and so I spend most of my day like this, even though I'm standing up now. I try to stand up as much as I can. I have a little treadmill that I just got for walking under my desk. And I've worked out for most of my life, cardio, and I follow your programs. I alternate between, just walking or following a MAPS program. And so I feel like I'm pretty fit, but the ability to, maintain that overhead stretch is really challenging for me. And what I've been doing, which has actually helped a lot, is I've been doing dead hangs, and that's really helped. I feel loosen my shoulders, and I practiced overhead squats this morning, and I feel that it's helped a lot. But even when I got a massage yesterday, and I still have these just very deep knots sort of in my shoulders, and I still feel that I'm not able to maintain, proper form with any weight. This is just without, any weight at all. So my question is, what's better? And the other thing I'll mention is, besides getting professional massages, I have one of those guns, and I use it on both my shoulders and my pecs, and that helps. And my pecs are constantly sore. I don't know if that's tender, if that's typical or not, but my question is it better to apply point pressure or rolling pressure on my chest and back? And are there other exercises that I should do? And how can I tell whether it's really my chest or the weakness in my back that's limiting my ability to maintain proper form and have proper external shoulder rotation?
Really good, really good question.
Very common.
I have to ask you something, if you don't mind. So first off, has your shoulder mobility always felt this way? Did you have any procedures? Breast augmentation, very common, can cause shoulder mobility issues, anything like that before I can give you better advice? No,
never problems, never surgery, anything. Okay. I think I've always been this way. And I think it's definitely gotten worse since I've been, as I've gotten older.
Okay. So here's what happens. Here's why a muscle will feel tight. Okay. So muscles will contract or relax and it's all controlled by the central nervous system. So if I tell my arm, if I want my arm to curl a weight, it's my central nervous system telling my bicep, contract so that you can lift the weight, go down, lower the weight, and then relax. Now, the central nervous system also will call upon muscles to provide stability when it feels like it needs it, or there's instability, or it feels like it needs to create more of a safe kind of structure. And this can happen when you have recruitment pattern issues or imbalances or weaknesses. Your CNS can call upon surrounding muscles to provide additional stability. And so what happens is these muscles can be slightly tensed all the time to try to create this stability that the body thinks it lacks. Okay, so in your case, upper trapezius is probably slightly tensed all the time.
Neck.
The muscles in the neck, the pecs might be tense, because remember, the pecs, the traps, the rhomboids, the lats, the internal, external rotators, all of those are involved in shoulder mobility and stability. Even your serratus muscles, for example, all of those are involved in stabilizing the shoulder and the scapula. And if there's a weakness somewhere, the other muscles will be called upon.
Yeah, they all compensate.
That's right. Now, so that's where the tightness is coming from. Now, the reason why massage feels good temporarily is when you take a muscle that's slightly tensed all the time, which then starts to feel like knots. And if I press on it and I hold that pressure, it actually tells my CNS to relax. So that's why you'll feel a knot, and then the therapist will push on it, and then all of a sudden the knot releases, and you're like, wow, I feel so much better. But then if you don't solve the underlying reason for that, then the tightness will come back. So I got to go back to the massage therapist again in 3 days or a week, or I got to keep working on these tight muscles. Why do they keep getting tight? And I'll get temporary relief. So what we have to do is figure out what the issue is, where's the instability, and strengthen that. And it's probably the muscles that retract the shoulder blades, and it's probably the ability to retract and depress the shoulder blades. So retracting the shoulder blades is bringing them back. So if you could right now, if you could sit up tall for me, because I could watch this.
Your neck's probably too forward.
Yeah. So can you bring your shoulder blades back for me? Okay. Now squeeze them back as hard as you can. Okay. Now bring them forward. Now try it again. Okay. Now can you bring your shoulder blades back at the same time now? Do they go down anymore? And now bring them back while bringing them down at the same time. Okay. So you're shrugging a little bit. There might be a weakness in the muscles that depress and retract the shoulder blades. So there are correctional exercises you could do. Do you have MAPS Prime Pro?
No, not that one.
Okay. We have them in there. So Prime Pro has shoulder and scapular mobility movements that can definitely help with this particular issue. Now, in between, I think static stretching is a good idea. I think using a Theragun is a good idea. Massage is a good idea because it'll get those tight muscles out of the way. But we need to strengthen the muscles that are, quote unquote, weak. Otherwise, you're just going to keep having to go back.
And you need to set yourself up before every single workout with a good priming sequence that you do, especially with your external rotation of the shoulder. One thing too, so in our Prime program that we do is like a wall test. And so we're doing that. We're pressing ourselves back into the wall, trying to hit all those points of contact, even with the nodule at the back of your head. So that's another one that we want to address, is to make sure that we sort of make that ugly, uncomfortable double chin, to counter a lot of this, like reaching forward and we're looking forward constantly, and we're straining and we're lengthening those muscles out. But, what we need to do is we need to get ourselves set up and stacked so we're in good posture, upright posture. Then we can add the load and really start strengthening that position. Another thing too that really helps, and I know that the dead hang helps because it brings that relief, but now we add things like farmer care, just holding weights at your side in that good upright postural position, an isometric position, really like reinforce that position. Because like what we need to do is like strengthen, but also counter a lot of the everyday forward trajectory of your shoulders and your head.
Yeah. So okay, and then one other thing that can be contributing to this, just because of the position, the work you do, is sometimes the way that we breathe can also cause some of these imbalances, for lack of a better term, in the thoracic area. So if you are like go, high stress position, job type of deal, we tend to be stuck in these, kind of upper chest or chest breathing positions. So we don't get a full diaphragmatic breath. That can also alter how you hold your upper body and your shoulder. So are you standing right now?
Yes.
Okay. When you take a deep breath, does your belly come out?
No, I think you're right about that.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to want you to practice full diaphragmatic breathing. In fact, we could try a couple right now if you don't mind.
Okay.
So place one hand on your upper chest, one hand on your belly button. Now I want you to take a deep breath, but I want your belly to come out before your chest does. So take a deep breath into your belly, have your belly rise out, and then your chest follows afterwards. Breathe in as deep as you can, and then breathe out. And then let's repeat that again. Breathe into your belly. The hand on your belly should move first and fill up before the hand on your chest moves forward.
Yeah, you know what's interesting about that is when I do that, I feel tightening or movement in my back.
Yeah. Okay, so a good idea for you would be to practice what I just said, but a better way to do it would be laying on your back. Typically, that's what I would do. I wouldn't do it standing, but because we're on on Zoom here, I had to do it standing. So what you do is you lay on your back with your knees bent. You breathe into your belly. So your belly rises as high as it can before your chest, and then fill in your chest. Hold that breath for 3 seconds, breathe out, and then repeat. Now, what you probably noticed right now, Tina, and I would love your feedback, is it probably felt a little awkward. Probably felt like I'm breathing in too much, or what's going on is too slow. And if you continue down that, you'll probably start to feel emotions. This will probably start to happen. You'll start to feel a little bit like, what's coming up? Okay. It's because because you're activating your parasympathetic. You're a lawyer. You're probably sympathetic all the time, not parasympathetic. You probably go work hard, focused. And so when you're always breathing in this kind of shallow breath, which is beneficial in a stressful situation, it does change the recruitment patterns of especially the upper body. But if you're always breathing like that, you're not getting a full diaphragmatic breath. And what you're telling your body is stay tight.
Yes.
Stay tight and
you're
tense.
never fully calm.
That's right.
At that point.
That's right. So I would have you do it 3 times a day. You do it for a minute. You lay on the floor, breathe into your belly, breathe into your chest, breathe out, do it for a full 60 seconds. If you start to find yourself get emotional, don't stop, keep going, go all the way through it, and then do it again in the middle of the day and then again at the end of the day. And that'll probably help you quite a bit.
Since you're down there, you can also do what I was talking about pressing yourself into the wall, but you're on the floor in a sense, right? So you can bring your arms back and work on that external rotation.
After you're done,
After you're done.
So in fact, MAPS Prime, is it MAPS Prime webinar? We just gave that one out.
Yeah, MAPS Prime webinar.
MAPSPrimewebinar.com. Justin teaches the wall test. That's what he's talking about right now.
Okay. So I've tried different variations, but yes, I will look at that one.
But I would do the diaphragmatic breathing for a minute first.
Yes.
Okay.
So, and in fact, those 2 breaths that you did, do you feel different?
Maybe a little more relaxed. I was a little amped up, getting ready for this. So.
Yeah, you would be surprised. I've had challenging clients where we just couldn't figure out what was going on. Then we went to diaphragmatic breathing, and it was like, boom, we solved the problem.
Oh my God, I'm in a calm state. Sometimes people don't really experience that calm state because they don't give themselves the chance.
Yeah, think of it this way, right? If your body thinks it needs to be on guard, how is it going to hold its shoulders? How is it going to hold its muscles? Now think of your vulnerable spots on your body. Your body's not going to let you open your chest up. It's not going to let you be in this relaxed position because you're exposing
you're on guard all the time.
You got to keep everything kind of protected, right? So that diaphragmatic breathing exercise is really beneficial. Then go into the correctional exercise, and then it's like night and day.
Okay. I'm excited to try this because I heard you say on a recent episode, Sal, I think, that when you fall asleep easily but wake up in the middle of the night, typically it's stress related, and I can't get past that.
Yeah.
And so maybe this will help me
in fact,
sleep better too.
Yes, when you wake up in the middle of the night, doing the diaphragmatic breathing, and you just keep going until you fall asleep, because your brain will receive this signal, even though it's kind of forced, like, okay, I'm going to breathe through my belly. Right. It receives a signal like, oh, we're safe, we're cool, we can go to sleep.
Okay. Good.
All right.
Well, thank you guys. That was really helpful. And I've scoured the internet and, tried all kinds of things, but I would have never maybe never found these tips. And, you know, it's interesting. I had a trainer and for a long time, and he would always get on to me about anytime, you know, we would do, I don't know, any exercise that involved my arms, my shoulders would always, he would always just push them down.
Yeah.
So I think you're probably right.
I'm pretty convinced it's a stress response. Yeah. And, you know, the problem is Tina, just so you know, you can't work through a stress response stressed. Okay. So in other words, like, oh shit, got to force my shoulders down. I got to hold myself better. Hold my breath while I do the stretch. Like,
you're tightening up doing it.
Tightening everything up. Like when you do these movements, breathe through them. Tell your body, you're all right. It's all good, safe. And then you'll be able to do it right. Because if you go into it holding your breath, being tight, force yourself through it, it's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Thank you guys so much. This was so helpful, and it's a pleasure to meet you. And I'm a huge fan. I listen to you all the time. And even my son, who's 7, he goes around saying, "It's Mind Pump. It's because he's so used to listening to it in the car all the time."
Awesome.
Thank you guys.
Thank you so much.
Nice to meet you.
You got it.
Take care.
I remember the first time. So I had the privilege, Justin, of working with just some really exceptional coaches and trainers that were just some very different from me, right?
Like body worker.
Yeah. So I had this one woman that I worked with. I've talked about her before. Lori Matroka was her name. She was incredible. She was a physical therapist, but she was also gut health and hormone health. And she was like she was way ahead of her time. Okay. Yeah. She was talking about leaky gut syndrome, 15 years ago. So anyway, she taught me about diaphragmatic breathing. And I said, wow. And I did it to myself because I tend to be a tense person. I was like, oh my God, I got a little dizzy. In fact, I was like, this is weird. I had a client do it. I'll never forget the first time I had a client do it. Yeah. I'm like, I know exactly who I need to do that on. And I brought my client there was a front part of my studio where the lights were a little low. And I said, okay, I think this is going to help us. We're going to start a workout with something called diaphragmatic breathing. Yeah. I had her do the same thing, hand on the belly, hand on the chest. And I timed it for a minute, right? 30 seconds into it, she started crying. Dude. And I was like, what happened? Yeah. She's like, I don't know what's going on.
It just comes out.
Yes, because she was holding on, who knows, right? She was holding on to feelings and that tells your body it's safe. You could let it out a little bit. And then she was like, oh my God, I feel so different.
Yeah. I mean, that's like when I was researching a lot about like fascial lines and like all these kinds of things and techniques to kind of, relieve some of that tension there, but same types of things like belly breathing. And man, it does. Like we trap some of these like really tense and like almost like your body stores memories and it kind of comes out. It's such a trip.
Our next caller is Brenton from Canada.
What's up, Brenton?
What's happening?
Hey guys.
How can we help you?
Hey, how you doing? I'll just dive right into it. Kind of got my question here. I'd like to read with a little bit of a backstory. First of all, like everybody, I really appreciate the opportunity to jump on here and chat with you guys. To keep it as concise as possible, I started listening to you guys early 2020 as a realtor who had started their business and it had come to a screeching halt for a period of time. My mindset was terrible. My business was at a standstill. I found myself on the road a lot, just taking on more clients that I typically wouldn't. That's where I stumbled upon the podcast. So I appreciate that. You guys talked a lot about in the first podcast about loving yourself, which really was an important timing for myself. In high school, I was a bit of an athlete, but when I graduated after high school, I went from about 190 pounds to about 235 pounds in not much more than a year. I was then fortunate to find strength training, and with training, some good mentorship and a training partner, lots of HIIT intervals, kind of went down to that 185 range pretty quick. Fast forward 16 years, I've stayed relatively consistent, but never really been in a place in my fitness journey that I can be super proud of. To start this year off, like many others, I decided it was time to get a six-pack. Like you guys probably hear a lot. However, at 36, being a husband, business owner, realtor, I struggle to find time, and most importantly, father of 2 young girls at age 7 and 9. I'm very conscious of how my fitness journey is seen through their eyes. I don't want them to see me tracking food, which may be a story that I kind of tell myself, but I kind of struggle with trying to find a way to show them that I'm happy with myself, but at the same time achieving. Top it all off, my kids love lifting weights with me. They love getting strong. They love flexing in the mirrors. My youngest, who is quite petite, also has decided she loves six packs lately and wants dad to have one. So I naturally want to show her that I can achieve whatever I set out to do and that she can do the same. So I guess the question being, is this even realistic without tracking consistently? What would a time frame be? I just started MAPS Performance, which I think is a really good fit for me. I love playing hockey all winter and golf all summer. But would that be the best training program for me to use?
Okay. Do you know, by any chance, Brent, what your body fat percentage is at now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got a pretty good idea. So just using like the impedance testing that we have at our local gyms, I've checked, and I haven't checked recently. Well, a couple months ago, I was 23%.
Okay.
I kind of bounce between that 20 to 24% in that range, depending on what's going on.
Okay. So just so you know, so a 6-pack, can you get a 6-pack without tracking? Yes, you can. I do it. I don't track, but I'm also a fanatic, and I could be a little extreme with things. It takes insane consistency, and I don't know if for a lot of people it's not worth it.
Uncompromising consistency.
Yeah, it's not worth it for a lot of people. Meaning, there's a lot of. You'll get to the point where you have a 6-pack, and what typically happens, Brenton, is you're like, well, this wasn't worth it. Like my life hasn't really improved tons in value from this. Now, 15% body fat, which is not a 6-pack, is a nice, athletic, fit, healthy build. You're strong. You're eating healthy. You're not, meticulous about kind of what you're eating, and you feel great, right? To get a 6-pack, typically it's single-digit body fat. Some people have it at 10%, but most people need to get lower, and that typically can often cause issues with hormones. You're not in optimal strength level. It's now there are people who genetically. Like they'll just get there, and that's just kind of where they live. But for most men, fit and healthy is around like between 13 to 16% body fat. Now, you could totally get to 13 to 16% body fat without tracking for sure. And again, just to hammer this home, there are more millionaires than there are people with 6-packs. That's how like rare and challenging it is to get there. So I'm not necessarily trying to talk you out of it.
It's not impossible.
But the road to 9% body fat, you still have to get to 13 or 14% body fat. So I'm going to tell you to get to about 13, 14%, and then you can decide what you want to do from there. Let's talk first about, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, how do you feel about, because I know in terms of like you not putting as much intention into having a 6-pack, you had to build up those abs quite substantially in terms of the size and treating them like their own muscle, like any other muscle that we're trying to build up and have hypertrophy towards. Yeah,
so developing the abs definitely will make them more visible at higher body fats. That's the percentage.
That's a big building phase it's going to take.
That's for sure. But go ahead.
And I do I have been training for quite a while, and I would consider myself to put on muscle pretty easy, and I think that's just that body type. So for me, if I'm when I'm around 20%, I do have some definition. It's just not quite like a decent definition. It's just not quite where I want it to be. Okay.
I suggest you get a caliper test or underwater weighing, because 20% typically doesn't have definition.
It's probably not.
You might be lower than 20%.
Probably like 17.
Yeah. So, but nonetheless, first off, let's talk about your workout. What does your workout currently look like?
Yeah, I've done Anabolic a few times. That was really good. I do struggle with consistency now. Over the last couple of years, business has changed, and so obviously that consistency. I went from gym goer to home gym, which has been good. But I think that's probably a season that I've played out. Like I did just recently re-up the gym membership. Kind of getting re-engaged that way. So that'll be good for me, I think. Okay. It's been a lot of following your guys' advice. It's been transition. I used to do the splits. Over the last couple of years, it's been a lot more. If I can hit 2 days a week, the big lifts is kind of what I go for. But naturally, being in my basement, not super motivating. I don't go super heavy. If I, when I do work out, it's after the kids go to bed. It's 9 p.m. at night, which has been a struggle to stay consistent with for sure.
Okay, I think I know where I want to go with it. Do you know how many steps you take a day, by the way? Do you ever track your steps?
Yeah, kind of between 7,000 and 9,000. I shoot for 10, but it's usually comes up short.
Okay, I got an easy recommendation for you. So, and I think this will do really well. So, diet wise, what I want you to do is I want you to hit your body weight or your target body weight in grams of protein, and I want you to prioritize that. Meaning, every meal you hit the protein first. Eat the protein first. Now, here's why I like this. There's a lot of downstream effects from doing this. It results in a lower caloric intake. It builds more muscle, and it also burns more body fat when the calories are even controlled. So that tends to bring people, just doing that alone tends to bring the calories where they need to go without people even having to pay attention to the calories necessarily. Yeah. So long as you avoid the heavily processed foods, right? Because you can still really go over if you're eating a lot of boxed, and packaged heavily processed foods. So whole natural foods, hit the protein first, hit your body weight in protein. So in grams of protein. So start there. Do that with first. Second, I would like to see you hit 10,000 steps a day. And you could do that by adding like a 10 or 15 minute walk after breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then third, I think the best workout for you would be MAPS 15. I would do the advanced version. And it would be
great for consistency.
It would be great for consistency. And I would do it first thing in the morning. You're going to work out for about 20 minutes. So wake up about 30 minutes early, go do your 2 lifts in your basement. So I think it's a 5 or 6 day a week program, and then do the 10,000 steps, hit your grams of protein, and you're going to start to see that your body will consistently progress really well with that.
Yeah, I like that. I like that advice.
And I do have an idea on calories. Like I have done a lot of tracking in the past when I was younger, before the kids were a little older. I did track the last few days just to kind of see where I was at, anticipating this call, kind of bouncing around that like 2,300 range.
Okay.
I usually pretty easy for me to hit that 175, 180 grams of protein. But it's probably just the consistency, I guess. So, but would you try and eat less or no?
No, I would just hit the protein and then eat the rest until you're satisfied. Whole natural foods. So as long as they're not heavily processed, because heavily processed foods can make us overeat for sure.
Yeah.
But if it's whole natural foods, let's say you start your meal off and it's got 8 ounces of chicken or steak or whatever. Eat that, and then, I still want a little more. And you eat some of your carbs and your vegetables, and then eat until you're satisfied, not until you're full.
It'll take care of itself, and then you just keep focusing on building muscle, because if anything, you're trying to preserve the muscle that you have, which then you can, naturally reduce the body fat in replace of that. So, to focus just on the protein is really going to help you to, provide you with what you need, but also naturally lower your calories.
Yeah, you'll find what you'll find, Brendan, is you'll get stronger, and your body will slowly change its composition. Yeah. You'll have a nice, consistent.
It'll be more gradual, but that's the pace you want to go.
Nice, consistent progress if you stay consistent with that. The 10,000 steps, the hitting your body weight in grams of protein with whole natural food, stick to that. And then MAPS 15, do the advanced version. It's with barbell. It's barbell training. And you're going to see nice, consistent, and do, as far as consistent, do it first thing in the morning. I mean, I have kids too. And, obviously we have the business here. And if I don't work out first thing in the morning, just so many things pop up during the day that it would be really easy for me to miss a workout. But because I start my day off with a workout, I almost never miss. And because it's about a 20-minute workout, it's just done very frequently. I think you'd be, and because it's daily, it tends to be nice and consistent. I think you'd find a nice cadence with that.
Okay. I appreciate that. Yeah. And then if being a guy that, like, say, I pack on muscle pretty quickly, just don't worry about that. Like, I don't want to get bigger. I don't love having the shirts fit tight on the arms for whatever reason, my own mental block. But if I'm doing 15, it's probably not that drastic.
Yeah, I'm not worried about you building muscle too fast. No. When I hear that, by the way, Brenton, I'm not discrediting you, but when I hear that, it's typically because of body fat goes along with it. Yeah. I've really only ever in my entire life met somebody who built muscle like that. It was he's a pro bodybuilder. And I remember, what's his name? He was trying to lose 100 pounds.
Ben
Pakulski. Yeah. He was trying to lose 100 pounds of lean body mass, and it was struggling with it. So I wouldn't worry about that. I think what's going to happen is your body weight will probably stay about the same, but what's going to happen is you'll build muscle as you start to lose body fat.
Get a lot more definition as it goes.
That's right.
No, I appreciate that. And like I say, I've listened to you guys for a long time. It's I've heard all this stuff before, but for whatever reason, I always kind of seem to think it's not me, right? There's something I can do that's kind of that magic bullet, and obviously that's not the case. So I appreciate your time.
This is as close as you're going to get to a magic bullet. So try it, trust the process, and watch it.
Yeah.
Do you have MAPS 15, by the way?
I don't. I got the RPG bundle, so I'm just kind of in. I think it's aesthetic.
We'll send it over to you.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, guys. Do you mind if I share a real quick story as well?
I'd love it.
Just again, a really big thank you to you guys for the impact that you've had on my life. I'm one of those guys that I annoy the shit out of my wife and my buddies because I'm always talking about the Mind Pump guys and what the Mind Pump guys say. So I'd love to get your name out there, and you guys have given a lot of advice. More notably, I actually, you guys talk a lot about talking to a therapist and getting your mind right and stuff like that. That kind of hit home for me a couple of years ago in business. And so I ended up taking your advice, talking to a therapist. Fast forward, that therapist urged me to take the next step in business, and ended up buying the brokerage that I was a realtor for over 10 years. And now over the last almost 2 years, that's been the best decision I ever made. And a lot of it goes to you guys for just kind of starting that ball rolling. So I think it's very cool that you guys let us in your lives and share some stories that can impact a lot of people in a lot of different ways. So really appreciate you.
Wow, man. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
That's awesome.
My pleasure.
All right, bro. Thank you.
Thanks again.
Have a good one.
Whenever I hear someone say, I'm scared of building too much muscle, it's not going to happen. That doesn't happen, bro. You're not going to wake up tomorrow jacked, you know?
Yeah.
It takes time, you know? Worst case scenario, you're like, I am building too much muscle, and then you slow it down. But have you ever had somebody actually encounter that situation?
Like the next day, whoa.
Yeah, I knew it.
Oh my God, I'm jacked.
Damn it, Sal. My arms are 20 inches.
It's all right.
No, it's typically because their body fat's going up alongside the muscle. Yeah. But yeah, this guy right here, I mean, if he switches it the way we advise, he's going to see nice, consistent progress.
Well, and that's everything. If your goal is 6-pack, you have to be dialed.
Yes.
I mean, there's no room for error.
No.
So, and I don't want to like put that stress on them, but it's like, you got all these other factors. I think 15 is literally the perfect recipe for that, because it's not too much. It's not going to interrupt his whole day. Like he can devote himself to that allotted amount of time first thing in the morning and be as consistent as possible.
Yeah. Plus, it's people don't sleep on that program. I hit a PR in deadlift with it. It is the programming.
You will progress.
For a lot of people, it's an ideal type of structure and workout. It just works really well. So, look, if you love the show, check out some of our free guides. In fact, we have a How to Squat Like a Pro guide. It's free. You can find it at mindpumpfree.com. You can also find us on Instagram. Justin is at mindpumpjustin. I'm at mindpumpdestefano. Adam is at mindpumpadam.